Hello. First, I want to say that it's fantastic to be here and see how Tesena Fest has grown since my first visit and talk in 2019. But since then, not only Tesena Fest, but especially QA has made such huge progress. And for us as QAs, it means that we need to stay. Oh, sorry. Let's wait for others because there are so many people are coming. So let's wait. Hey guys, hurry up, hurry up. We are tight. Ooh. Okay, so let me continue. For us as a QAs, it means that we need to stay active, learn, and adapt continuously, because like the QA is still evolving so fast, and we don't want to miss the train. With all of this, let me set the context. This talk is about AI in QA, not AI in testing. And I'm someone who distinguishes these two terms and understands testing as a component of quality, but the QA as a whole entire ecosystem of quality. Or sorry, testing as a component of QA. These distinctions matters because when we talk about AI enhancing or transforming QA, we don't talk about autonomous testing, self-healing, or smart test execution. We talk about how AI enhancing quality mindset, quality thinking, planning, and definitely strategy decision-making. With these foundations, let me make a strong statement. As of tomorrow, teams will not need QA's engineer. Sounds crazy? No? Like that. Because that's something what we are building at Canva. And I hope that after this talk, we will not just see how we did it, but also why we did it, and why this shift might be important for all of us. But, yeah. Let's go again. Think about self-service. I have a few questions for you, so let's do a quick exercise. Please raise your hand if you have ever used self-check-in at hotel or before your flight. Nice, it seems to be pretty common here. I like it. The second one is think if you have ever used self-checkout in supermarket. Nice. And the last one, raise your hand if you have ever thought about using self-service in QA. Awesome, awesome. I'm so looking forward to hear your thoughts. And for the rest of them, that's why I'm here today. That's something what it's my talk about, using self-service in QA. And that's something what I really like about QA, that you can find inspiration for our processes in your day-to-day activities. And the self-checkout, it's a nice example of the shift left, boosting efficiency, share responsibilities, and definitely removing bottleneck and evolving like supporting roles to the new roles that provide more strategical impact. I'm Ondřej Gróf, Senior QA Engineer at Canva, and I have been doing QA for more than 9 years. Sometimes I define myself like the man who never dreamed about being a QA, and I believe that many of you became QA accidentally, like me. My really short story is that more than 9 years ago I was studying of IT, and I was quite like a hungry student. I lived at dormitory, and 10 minutes by walk from my dormitory, there was Avast Software. They had new offices, new headquarters, and one of the benefits was that they provided food for a whole day for free at the 5-star hotel level. So it was strong motivation for me to get there. And one day, when they contacted me on LinkedIn, I just chose the open position with the fewest requirements. And it was a QA. And after more than 9 years, I don't regret the decision, and I think that was the best decision in my career life. So I hope that you have similar funny story how you became QA, because yeah, no one wasn't dreaming about being a QA. Today I hope that it's changed. As I mentioned, I work at Canva, and Canva, for those who may not know, is online global visual communications platform on the mission to empower the world to design. It's a simple way how you can create Beautiful design, from presentations to videos, infographic, websites, t-shirts and LED print, or social media graphics. If we take a look at Canva in numbers, you can see that we have more than 240 million users in 190 countries. So it's like a huge user base, and we need to be sure that everyone is able to do what they want with the proper quality. And like a nice, interesting fact is that our users generate more than 373 designs per second, and it's a challenge for QA infrastructure to everyone. With this, our mission or our definition of the user is like that everyone, everywhere, in any role, on any platform, who needs to communicate visually. And we as a QA, we see there how challenging it could be. There's so many use cases we need to cover. It's so many things we need to consider. And we are trying to do our best. And that brings me to one favorite question in our industry. What is your dev and QA ratio? Think about it. What is your dev QA ratio on the project you're currently working on? Based on some evidence, it's 3 to 1. And it should be like an industry standard. Sometimes it could be more or less. It totally depends on context, which industry, if there are any regulations, how critical the project is. But based on that standards, we should be able to do all testing activities without being a bottleneck. And I will leave it up to you if it's true or not. Because we, at Canva, we have slightly different ratio. Our ratio is 22 to 1 in average. From my personal experience, it ranges from 14 to 1 to 25 to 1. It depends how many teams or projects are you supporting in the one time. But how it's even possible, because at the first sight it looks like some serious issue in our processes or that we fight with the management and we can hire more and more people. But like the opposite is true. Like everything is fine. Not fine, but fine. And that's because as many companies stand for QA as a quality assurance. Like there's one role, one team who do testing and do final checks at the end of the whole development project. We do something different. We at QA stands for, we at Canva stands for QA as a quality assistance. And that's the approach where, let's say, everyone cares about the quality and everyone owns the quality. And that's why we can maintain such a high ratio. Quality assistance, it's not just a different label, different name. It's totally different approach. As I said, the team owns quality, so engineering team owns the quality, PMs owns quality, UX designer owns quality, data analytics owns quality, everyone. And through these collaborative activities and with this mindset, we are able to say that we do everything together. But what about QA? We are still there. We just do coaching. We facilitate activities. We are partners and helping everyone to build quality in every step of development. You can think about quality assistance as a mindset shift from fighting bugs to preventing bugs, from working from isolation, working side by side with the team, from being a gatekeeper to being a guide. And that's what we are trying to do. Let me break down our QA model into a few pillars. The first one, shared ownership. The key message of this is that everyone, or quality is everyone's responsibility, always. But what is the quality? That's something that needs to be aligned. So basically, with the teams, we define what quality means, because every role has some like a different perspective what quality is. So we need to be sure that we know how engineering team understand quality. Like there are some code coverage, PR cycle time, PR review time, test coverage. The PMs cares about how good the features are defined or how tasks are defined, if we are right on the track. UX cares about how UI is good, if it's following the best practices, if it's, say, follow the best practices. So everyone cares about their part, and together it's like pieces of puzzle. Together could create a beautiful picture. The second one, embedded practices. We basically build quality into every development stage. It's not just about being a gatekeeper. We're trying to be there from the beginning. So we empower the team and let's say them like, hey guys, you are defining what the scope it will be. I want to be there. I want to help you with it. And it's so important because like everyone knows the graph cost of bugs. So if you care about the quality from the beginning, it's the best way how you can do bug preventing. The third pillar, coaching culture. As I mentioned, we do quality coaching. So for us, it's so important to work with the team, teach them what is the quality, build quality mindset through the several activities, what I will tell you on the next slide. And with this, we can be sure that they have quality in their mind and they do their best as they own quality. And last but not least, continuous feedback. We believe in continuous actionable feedback, and it helps us to spot problems, address challenges, and definitely keep raising the bar for quality. Through these four pillars works together these four pillars with the four key activities make quality a team sport. And this is our key QA activities what I want to highlight. The first one, it's a QA kickoff. There we identify risk, test ideas, edge cases, basically everything what we want to consider from the quality perspective before we start implementation. And we believe that if we discuss it together with devs, PM, UX, they have it in their mind during the implementation. So we are sure, or we can be sure that they edit their, identifiers. They will write proper tests because in at Canva, devs write every test, and it's also like a big change. So this is like our baseline. We need to know what we want to deliver, in which quality, and we want to know risk. The second one, QA demo. Also, it could be known as a pair testing. And basically, it's activity when devs and QA meet together and do a testing. It's about sharing knowledge. Dev teach me about the code. I teach them about the testing. My favorite approach is that I usually let developer test everything, and I just check what is their things or thoughts about testing and how they think about that. And if there is some issue, I just give them feedback. And again, it's helping with building quality mindset and quality standards. The third one, it's my favorite one because it's party. But unfortunately, not in the right meaning. There are no dancing, no drink, but sometimes there is food, sometimes. But still, it's fun, so don't worry. And basically, it's activity or meeting when we come together, test together the feature, what we are implementing, and we want to release. One of the key benefits is that we come together as different roles. Again, devs, QAs, data analytics, PMs, UX, but also support or other interest role. And everyone can use his perspective on that feature and the way how they use that feature. So we can able to cover so many ways and so many test cases. We have two ways how we organize testing party. The first one, it's about, let's say, organized testing party. You have predefined test cases on You know where you want to test it, on which platform, which devices, and which testing scenarios. But my favorite one is unorganized. You basically define, this is our feature, and let's test it. It's definitely exploratory testing. It's something like Clickathon or something like that. And it definitely helps us. We discuss the bugs, we discuss issues, we discuss our insights, and we discuss why we discover these bugs so late. So then for the next time, maybe we can do it better. Last one, it's bug or quality triage. I'm sure that anyone knows bug triaging. Basically, it's activity when you go through your backlog and you do reviewing and do some prioritization of your bug which one you want to fix. We do the same, basically. What we do a little bit extra. We do also like the quality triage, as we have in a backlog quality task, basically tasks that could improve our quality in the team. And with this, we can, let's say, present to engineering leads, team leads, that this is important, explain them why it's impactful, and thanks to that, it's quite easy to convince them that these tasks should be part of the sprint. But it's important to have right quality mindset, and it's something we'll be building for years. But I hope that you will be able to do it quickly or faster. But that was basically all how we do, or what is our QA model at Canva. 4 key pillars, 4 key activities. We still do a testing sometimes as a QA, but that's not something what we want to focus. And one day, AI became part of the process. And that's where the story gets interesting. That's the way how we boost our efficiency in our processes. But let me start with some background. Canva has been driving AI transformation across the company. So we, as a QA, are thinking how we can leverage AI into our processes. And as we do QA independently on each other, as everyone is embedded in our team, and the teams usually facing to slightly different problems and challenges, we started using AI in remarkably diverse ways. Someone focused on autonomous testing, someone focused on smart test execution, but the others focus on metrics, generating test data, and other. But big group of us are focusing on our QA activities, how we can boost the efficiency, how we can improve them, how we can make them better, faster, and not boring, because QA is fun and everybody knows it, but to make them, let's say, more enjoying. And that's it. With all of this, we started to do it and think about how to leverage AI. But where we should find the time to do it, because like some of these projects, it's quite time-consuming. And we are happy that Canva organizes 2 hackathons per year. And that means that you have 3 days per each hackathon that you can stop doing your work and just focus on your projects and think about how AI can improve the product, process, or our community. And definitely we as a QA, we're focusing on how to improve our processes. As one of our pillars is sharing and sharing and giving feedback, asking for feedback, we do the same as a QA specialty, and we share our challenges, we share our success, we share our projects. And we did the same with all the projects we did on these hackathons. And then we realized that each project is really good and could be useful, but they are also like the pieces of puzzle. If you put them together, you can create really beautiful and powerful tool. But yeah, it sounds really nice in theory, but we definitely need a proof for it. And that's why we started with applying these tools in our teams, not from like the top to bottom, but bottom up. That's the approach what we follow at Canva, and I'm sure that is the right way. So basically, we tested these processes, tools together that boost our efficiency. And we picked 3 main QA activities what we wanted to boost. The first one is a QA kickoff. As I mentioned, we identified the risk, edge cases, and others. But how AI can help us with this? So basically, I forgot to mention one important thing. We have great documentation culture at Canva, but it's not about writing documentation for documentation. We believe that if you want to do some changes, you need to, let's say, document it or show how you think about the changes, what everything will be in that change. So our engineering team is really good in writing documentations. We have 2 types, design doc, it's really complex things, but also we have 1 pager for small thing. And it's not just about the writing, but during the writing documentation, you often realize doesn't make sense, let's don't do that. Or this is, let's say it will be really complex things, we need more time to do that. But everything is in the documentation, all the thinking in the structured documentation. And for writing this documentation, we also use AI, so it's not so time-consuming as it could be or as it was. But so go back for the QA kickoff. How we leverage AI there? Basically, we have a prompt, we have an AI assistant where we can upload these documentation from engineering team. We can upload their feature definition from PM. We can upload the UI design. And through this prompt, we are able to get some important data like suggested edge cases, risk, strong starting points, like where to start, what we should be aware of, which dependencies are there, like from which team we need to be in contact, and also it could suggest us some like a test coverage of that team, what we will depend on. And that's very powerful. So now we don't need to prepare this by ourselves as a QA, and it's ready to for the meeting, for the discussion on the meeting with the rest roles. So definitely we boost our efficiency there. The second one, testing party. And again, however, I prefer an organized one. You still need to prepare some definition, and a lot of people follow like the organized one. So we have a tool that basically you describe the feature. You can use the same documents as the for QA kickoff, and also like the output from QA kickoff. And it generates you the suggested test cases, what you should cover there. It optimizes the whole flow. It optimizes the test cases on each platform, so we don't spend so much time by the testing. And the third one, it's about the bug coverage. We do manual testing on exploratory phase. We don't do manual testing in the release process. That's something what we reduced to 0 this year, and we are so happy about it that there are no bottleneck to do manual testing during our processes. It was quite challenging, but we did it and we are super happy about it. But still, automation is not everything, and that's something what you should remember. The manual testing will be there forever. And yeah, and for that, we use vendor. So basically, the vendor needs or requires some, let's say, format of the documentation, format of the task. And it's quite boring and tedious to rewrite all this stuff to their system. So why we cannot leverage the AI? And as we have all information from testing party, it's like a low-hanging fruit to let the AI generate also like this task definition for the vendor. So it's really time-saving work. But there is other side of about activity when the vendor does testing. It's about how to do bug triage from their report. And then because the vendor has own system and we have our own tracking system. and it's quite consuming to go through the both and decide which is own bug and which is unknown. So we use AI to go through all of these systems and compare it based on the descriptions, and then we just know what it's already know, what it's new, and what we should check by ourselves, because AI is not clear. So that's why we do also bug triage powered by AI. But there's more than these 3 QA activities. And that's something what I call quality activities. And it's something what is like outside the main process, but it's still very important because it's supporting the main process. And the first one, it's test coverage. Definitely it's not about generating 100% code coverage. It doesn't make sense because it costs so much money and you never know if it's valid, valuable, or it's like really good test. So we use AI, especially for our framework migration. So we decided to migrate from Gherkin framework to TypeScript framework that is based on Playwright to be closer to developers as they are the ones who write the tests. So definitely we don't want to force them to write Gherkin because I don't like Gherkin. I'm not sure what about you, but I don't. Who likes the Gherkin? Raise your hand. Like that. I like my audience. Cool. So basically, the whole goal was about migrating hundreds, thousands tests to the new framework. And it's really time consuming and it costs so much engineering time. So the team who owns the new framework prepared a migration tool, and basically you just pick your file and let's say, I need to transfer or migrate this test to the new framework. And the tool take this test, migrate it to the new framework, run these tests, and if they pass, the tool itself creates a PR. And there was so good feedback on it. So basically, our engineering team just checked the PR, did some small changes, but the key point was that thanks to the prompt that defined like the best practices, what we want to follow in our new framework, it was really easy to migrate to the new framework. The second one, it's metrics. I'm a huge fan of metrics. I believe that we could be able to measure everything, and thanks to the AI, we have so many options how to gather data. And through the MCPs, we can connect so many data resources. We can ask AI to give us new insight, create the reporting. So now, thanks to the one prompt, or like let's say some more complicated prompt, but you can just say to the AI assistants, hey, I need to know what are the current metrics for my feature. And that's it. That's something what we provide as a QA to our team. And the last one, feedback insights. We love feedback. And it's quite hard to get them or like summarize it. So we use AI tools that takes feedback from customer support, from social networks, from forums, and parse it, and they, let's say, summarize it and group it for the teams. So we, let's say, immediately know how our users are feeling about our feature, and we can do some action step on it. And yeah, that's pretty much. That was something what we have been testing for some time, and then we realized that it's really helpful for many teams. And that's when we decided to create QA prompt library. It was the hackathon project, and so one team comes together and work on like some complex prompts. And we created prompts for QA kickoffs, testing party, bug triage, and metrics. It's quite a complex prompt file that defines required inputs or suggested inputs. It defined the MCP, so we had to implement several MCPs to be able to get data, to do proper data analysis. The prompt also defined the whole workflow, what and when should be done. And the most important thing that it's also defined how output should look like. Because we believe that the unified output is one of the most powerful things of it. Because if you get unified output, you don't need to spend so much time to exploring the output document, and you immediately know where to find the thing what you need. And especially when you rotate across the teams, you want to have a unified output. Because if the team follows the different standard, it's not so efficient and optimal. So from that day, when we introduced this QA prompt library, anyone could use it. And I don't want to say that QA became useless, but there was a nice opportunity to scaling our QA model, because we have been working on that for many years. I've been working for Canva for 3 years, and we are still working on it. But we think that our maturity level, like on the quality level, or maturity level of the team in context of quality, is high enough to change overall from being embedded to be more strategic and let team owns quality by themselves without QAs. But is it applicable for all? Like from day 0, nobody wants the QA? No. We change our model, we scale our model, then we focus only to, let's say, high priority or company goals. Because there, we still believe that it needs to provide some QA expertise, not only AI. But for the rest, like for the smaller project that we have so many, it's nice to try to let team owns the quality and to facilitate all the QA activities by themselves. And it doesn't matter if it's the PM, devs, or UX data analytics, because everyone could be QA champions. That's something how we called the man, or the person, the member of the team who cares about the quality during the process. So we change a ratio a little bit, and I guess that you already know how we change it, and that's 20:0. That sounds really good, because at the first sight there is no bottleneck, and that's amazing because you are the one who doesn't block anything as a QA. So our current process is like that. If we have new project, the QA champions who is nominated to cares about the quality from the team, organize all activities, organize and facilitates QA kickoffs, organize and facilitates testing party, bug triage, or let's say canary release to be sure that everything works fine during the release. Because testing in production is the best way how it feels set during introduction. And yeah, but what about QAs? We have 0 QAs on the project, and what they do. As I mentioned, we still support our high priority and company goals, but for the rest of time? And that's something what it's part of our transformation or evolution. And that's to work on more strategic things. We need to think how to improve the whole QA specialty, how to bring new technologies, how to boost other processes, how to introduce new metrics, how to introduce new monitoring, how to react on the things quickly. And thanks to this evolution, we got the time to do all of these things. And I believe that you should do it as well. And our new mission is just helping Canva move faster with the confidence. Because when you measure quality, you just use that metrics to say how confident you are for the release or for the feature itself. So we have been working on that, say, many years, but because like the quality assistance is something what we've been doing many years. I don't want to say that on that project we have been working for many years. But the first and one of the most important thing is that culture comes before tools. You basically need to build the culture that quality is everyone's responsibility, shared ownership, before you start implementing and force the team to use these AI tools or like organize these testing or quality activities. We know that the bottom-up innovation works for us, and it's quite simple to prove some project on the team level And when you realize that it's successful and it's working, you can, let's say, scale up and do it on upper level. And you can end it up on company level if it's really successful. The next one, documentations enables AI. It's a few years ago, I was the one who, let's say polite, didn't like documentation. Because in many companies, it's just because documentation because somebody wants to have documentation. But if you have a structured, valuable documentation, you can let's say, amplify that by using AI. And it's really, really important. Because you can leverage your knowledge by AI if these knowledge live in your heads. Templates create consistency, as I mentioned. It's important to have, let's say, templates for output, unified output, because it's really helpful and everyone knows what to expect. And definitely evolution, not elimination. Nobody wants to eliminate QA because the quality is really important and we just need to evolve into the new role. So let me do some conclusion. I would be so happy if you would think about some day-to-day activities outside of work and try to find inspiration for your QA process. Because I believe that the inspiration is all around us. Look at how self-checkout transforms retail. Look at how self-check-in transforms travel. Look at how safe self-service transforms banking, entertainment. So it's not a question if this will happen in a QA. The question is if you will be leading this transformation or you just wait for others to show you the way. So start small. Just pick one QA repetitive task and experiment with the QA assistants. Build your quality culture. Document your processes so AI can amplify them. And most importantly, look at your role from being a gatekeeper to being quality enabler, force multiplier, because that's the main shift mindset. And yes, basically that's pretty much from my side. I hope that you find out useful and you already see some inspiration what you can use in your project. So thank you so much, and let me check the slide. Yeah, the first question. I've noticed that when something is everyone's responsibility, no one takes action, how we can ensure everyone understands their role in quality. That's what we discussed with my team as well, and the very useful thing was to do some kind of workshop when we defined quality together, and each role, let's say, decide to own their part. So as there was somebody responsible for their part, everyone cares about their part, and together it works as everyone owns the quality. Could you provide some insights into what your testing party looks like, considering you are a single QA working with 23 devs? Yeah, basically it's about collaborative testing. In the old way, I organize testing party. I invite few people, like basically devs who implemented that feature, some support, me as a QA. Sometimes I also invited external QA from different teams to get another insights into it. And yeah, basically it's about 1 hour of testing when we discuss what we found and we discuss some, let's say, misunderstandings and other stuff. So basically it's just about 1 hour, but it depends how complicated or sophisticated the feature is. And we test it together and share our insight, and then we just do bug triage and fix this stuff. So basically this is our testing party. what specific AI tools do you use in QA, or do you develop your own AI tools? As Canva has been driving AI, one of the key benefits of it that we have enterprise access to the major tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, MCode, and others. And we use just these tools with, let's say, our own created prompts file. So we don't like use or build any of our QA AI models or something like that. What skill stack is necessary for a tester to work in your development process? It depends. Somebody is more technical, somebody is more, let's say, how it's called, let me think. It's focused more on processes and the testing methodologies. And so basically everything, like every tech stack or skill stack, it's really good. But definitely it's something what we need to have. It's like the passion for improving and learning. Can you explain your new automated testing framework, TypeScript Playwright, what you notice? Yeah, we used Gherkin, and it was not so close to developers. So basically we just let's say, migrate to the new one that is in TypeScript based on the Playwright. So we have small wrapper on the Playwright to make our features or like our testing more efficiency. And we don't use, let's say, overuse some functions. So basically it's the Playwright, like a little bit boosted Playwright. How often do you release? What is the role of the QA? Yep. Sorry, okay, there was change. How do you integrate AI from the privacy point of view without risk of leaking internal data? Yeah, as I know, I don't want to claim that it's like the official. As if you use, basically we don't use internal data like our user data. That needs to be clear about that. But for our like working data, enterprise version, they could opt out from like the sending data to that model. So basically it's something what we do. How often do you release? What is the role of QA, PPL in the process, as there are lots of developers involved in quality assurance? We do release every day except Friday, because nobody wants to spend a weekend by fixing bugs or some incidents. But we are, basically that's it. And what is the role of the QA? Basically, we just say if it's good enough, or we used to say if it's good enough or not. If there are some like the metrics what we want to measure to be sure that also with the shift right, like to care about quality after release, everything is fine and we are able to monitor. But like the release, it's something what is owned by data analytics team and data engineers as they do canary release. And we have so many guard-laced metrics. So when we do canary release and IB testing, we are sure that new version, it's fine. What you will do after Canva will don't need QA, since you build process to have QA without QA. I think that it will take so much time, so it's not like today's question. That's something how we can scale our QA process and just focus on strategic thing and focus how we can have the biggest impact in the company, not just focusing on some, let's say, smaller projects, but to the most impactful work. So basically it's about evolving to the strategic one and do most impactful work as we can. But you never know what will happen. Maybe next GPT version replace us. You never know. Shouldn't you present your organization as you have made transformation to everyone is a QA rather than saying that you have a zero QA? I don't think so. Like, the QA is a role in that meaning, or as I understand your question. And if you are care about your, let's say, output, and if you just try to do your best, like from the quality code perspective. So if you write valid, let's say, really good code, tested code, it doesn't mean that you are a QA. It does just only mean that you do your work properly. And as anyone expects, so it's not about that everyone is QA, or at least from my perspective, but happy to hear your opinion on it. How do you deal with a development team that's constantly deploying to production, relying solely on unit integration test? Yeah, we don't rely solely on unit integration test. We have so many other metrics, but unit test could be really valuable if they are, let's say, good enough. But what is good enough? That's something we are trying to find, and integration test is definitely what we have, but that's not primary testing. We still believe that we need to do some manual exploratory testing, and with all of these deploying to the production, we still can use canary release, so we can be sure that we don't affect 100% of our user base. But everything is about some level of confidence. Is QL involved in the PR reviews? Definitely not, and I see as a bottleneck in our approach. I don't want to say that it's real bottleneck, but with our approach, as you support so many developers or project, it's something what you can handle. And yeah, it's responsibility of developers that they provide like proper PR with all requirements, and we have so many checks before we creating a PR, before we doing git push and other. I can imagine lots of bugs, improvements, ideas coming during testing party. Who's taking notes of them and how they are solved? Yeah, we used to use just Slack, like a Slack channel, and we were reporting there the issue or just something weird what we found. And then we go through it together with the PMs and, let's say, devs and UI to know how critical and how difficult it will be to fix it. And now with our tools, we report it to that tool, and the tool itself just group similar bugs together, and we can go through them, and we leverage AI into it. And they definitely ended up in a backlog to, let's say, track them and know what is our current status. Could you please tell us what percentage of the test-generated AI are usable and which AI model you use? That's a good question, because I think that it doesn't matter how many percentage of generated tests you have. It depends how good they are. So if you have, I don't know, 60, 70% of code coverage, it doesn't matter if it was written by AI or the person. And yeah, maybe some teams. Yeah, I did some survey about how our devs are satisfied with the AI, and few of them are satisfied and they think that it's really boosting their effectiveness, but the others are not happy. So basically they use AI for just preparing some, let's say, structured, but no code itself. And what models we use? We use AMP code, Cursor, and Copilot. But with AMP code, based on the latest information I have from my colleagues, that's something what we found out as the most useful thing, at least for generating our integration tests. But again, with the predefined prompt file to be sure that everything's follow our practices. Cool. Interesting idea of removing the bottleneck of manual release testing. Please elaborate on Verdon documentation. What is it, and do you have an example? Yeah, basically it's like the external tool that you need to provide all information, where to find feature, what do you expect from the testing. You need to mention, let's say, some use cases and other stuff. It's quite user-friendly UI, so it's quite time-consuming to do everything there. So yeah, so basically that's it. And do you have example? Yes, I have, but definitely not in my presentations. I'm happy to talk with you about it. Do you rely entirely on AI for the QA kickoffs, or do you supervise and compare your ideas with the AIs? Yes, that was something what we did during the testing phase, about the proving the concept. So basically, we let the AI to generate the QA kickoff and, let's say, compare it with our idea. And we believe that for not so, let's say, sophisticated or complicated project, it's a good enough in the context that your development team or like your team has like the quality mindset and they know what quality means and they have experience from previous QA kickoffs on the previous project. Do you think the ratio or approach you have present fits corporates in fintech? Wow, I don't have any experience with fintech. I don't know. I'm like happy about it that I don't have any experience from fintech. Sorry about it, but so I can't answer that. Have you more bugs on production compared to standard test mode? No. Do you use any tools that unify product requirements into one common template? Is this a prerequisite for obtaining reliable generated test? Yeah. As we are Canva, like online design tools, we have, let's say, all templates in a Canva. And Canva is, let's say, our main knowledge center. And through the several MCPs, we can gather the content from the document and we can improve them. So we have unified product requirements template or tool. Do you incorporate regression testing into your release process? No. Like regression testing, that's something what we don't, let's say, do, or we just use automated test, and then we still try to, let's say, do just optimal set. Do you think this approach will work for the automotive industry given the many regulations, functional safety, cybersecurity, AutoStar, a SPICE process? I already heard these terms, but definitely don't know what they really mean. But I believe that it's some kind of regulation, what kind of documentation you need, and other stuff. So maybe if you have this kind of documentation, you can still leverage the AI. But sorry, I can't answer that. Do you like cats? Sorry, I'm more of like a dog person. So I hope that I didn't disappoint you. Have you refined your QA process since AI came? How did you end up building a successful system by taking AI analysis and actions as right ones? Have you refined your QA process in AI came? Yeah, we refined it, but just slightly. And because we think that we just focus how to optimize our processes and just boost them, because we are quite happy and we spend so much time to explain the team what is our process. QA team has been reduced with AI approach, not we just moved overall. As I show you our ratio, our like the QA team, the whole Canva, it's around 60 to 70 people across the board. So there are still space for the new ones, but we will see. How often does development make a release? Yeah, so I mentioned every day. Do developers see now QA person as another guy who tells us what and how to do, since QA doesn't do anything tangible? No, we never tell them what to do. We just try to teach them what quality is and let them to think about what they should do by themselves. And our job is just show them the best practices and show them new approaches. And it's up to them if they decided to implement them to improve their quality. Yeah, and that's it. Wow, so many questions. Thank you so much.